Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a really fun project to share with you. It's a mini album made of recipe cards featuring a stamp set and dies from ScrapDiva Designs. Now, if you are interested in these products, I have a link to the ScrapDiva Designs website shop for you in the description box below, as well as a discount code to get 10% off your order. So be sure and check that out. I'm going to show you the supplies or products I'm using from ScrapDiva Designs for this project, as well as some other newly released things I got at the same time as part of their design team. I just showed you the recipe card stamp set I'll be using. This is the 3D rectangular gift box. I'm super excited to make this box, but I'm not showing it in today's video. I just wanted you to see some of these newly released things. I have been so busy traveling with Scrapbook Expo and teaching classes there, and I just haven't had time to play with all of the things yet, so I just wanted to show them to you. So this die, as well as several others from her shop, will come with 2 sheets of dies in the same package. So you want to make sure and check those out for all your pieces. Sometimes there's even dies on the back of one of the sheets, so check that out. Okay, next up we have some Western themed. This is a little saloon you could make into a mini album. You could make it into a shape card. You could make it into a box. You could make it into a purse. Wouldn't that be cute? So that's the saloon. I think it's really fun. I think you could also make it into like an ice cream shop. Right? Wouldn't that be cute? Like you see in these old towns, like there's a town near me here in Idaho called Idaho City. They have the cutest little like Western town looking shops, and I think you could really play with the theme of this and make it something really fun. This one also, like I said before, is going to have multiple sheets of dies in the same packaging. So you're going to find lots more pieces when you pull this apart, like several of the die sets from ScrapDiva Designs. So there's the other pieces that's going to help you layer things up, bring detail to it, and put a different color behind that open front. So there you have it. I think this is really a fun die set. So we'll hopefully be getting to that one soon. And then we have the Desert Rose floral die. Love this. Okay, I'm loving all of her flower dies. I am going to use that in today's project. It is really cute. I mean, come on, that is adorable, right? So I am going to use that as a little accent on my album today, but there's flowers there. You can layer up a large, medium, and a small. It's one plate. You run it through all at the same time. I love that. Okay, let's get back to this stamp and die set combo, the recipe card. So what you can see from the front is the actual stamp. There's also dies, a die to cut out, the stamped recipe card. You also have labels and tabs for this. I'm not going to use the dies for the labels or the tabs in my project, but those are pretty cool to have for different kinds of projects. So I am going to bring in the striped and dotted paper from Lawn Fawn to use for my project today. I wanted to bring a little bit of pizzazz to these very easily by using patterned paper. So to start, I'm going to stamp out my recipe card, and I thought it would be fun to stamp it on patterned paper, but some can be too busy, like those stripes. However, I felt this polka dotted, it's kind of a random scattering of dots, would be really fun to stamp on and not too busy for a person to then write a recipe on. And this pad is like a rainbow of colors, so I'm like, I can't decide what colors, so I'm going to do them all. So I got one of each color in the rainbow, and I'm going to do 6 recipe cards. So I'll just put that into my stamp positioning tool. Y'all, at Scrapbook Expo, I met someone who was asking me, what do I stamp this stamp with? It's so big. I don't have a block that big. And I was like, do you have a Misty or a stamp positioning tool? She said no. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am about to change your life, right? How many of you feel the same about stamp positioning tools? No matter which one you have, this is like game changer, right? I'm like, you can stamp it, and if you don't like how crisp it is, you could stamp it again. I just wanted to reflect on that. Some of us have been using this tool for so long, we forgot how amazing it is, right? Do you know what MISTI stands for? Most incredible stamping tool invented. right? It's true. Okay, so there's my recipe card. Like I said, I'm going to stamp one in each of these 6 colors on the polka dots. I don't think they're too busy at all, right? So now when it comes time to cutting these out, there is a die. You can do the die. It has a perforated edge around it. Love it, right? Mine are very close to the edge, and I wanted to layer mine up. So I'm going to cut mine out. Now, you could very easily take this to a paper cutter, trim it out, right? However, I want mine right on the line, and I just didn't trust that I stamped it perfectly straight. So I brought in some scissors. My tip for this is have a good pair of long scissors because this line is long and it helped me cut it straight, cut right on that black line. Now, if you're cutting a stamped image, you want shorter blade scissors to get in and around those things. Okay, so now it's time to layer this up. I went through my cardstock stash. I pulled out some papers from the 12 by 12 cardstock shop. Love their papers. This is their newer line, and look at the texture. Encore paper. Love it. It's great for this. So that die cut layer is going to fit perfectly behind my hand cut recipe card. The polka dots are great. So I'm going to do this for every color. I tried to color match as best I could. This orange, I'm not going to lie, could have been a little brighter in my opinion, a little less rust, but sometimes you just got to go with it, right? Use what you have. Don't like cripple yourself into procrastination because it's not the exact perfect shade. I mean, there are times you have to be like, no, I need the right thing. But this is one of those times I felt I could just move forward and use what I had. So there's my 6 recipe cards. On the back, I put a strip of that striped pattern paper that matched as a little accent piece. I wanted the back side of this to be like, if you needed to continue writing the steps of your recipe, you could write it on the back. However, you could put another recipe card on the back instead and really fill this book up. There's lots of opportunity for plenty more pages to be added to this. Okay, so now this die set that I'm bringing out, also from ScrapDiva Designs, is to help you build a mini album. So I picked out this die right here. It's going to die cut those little holes that you need to put binder rings in. So I cut one from each color. One of these will attach to each of my recipe cards. Then they'll go together in a stack and put the rings through the holes, and you have a mini album. So clever, right? Okay, so they also have hole reinforcements for the holes. These are hearts. Why would I use anything else if there's a heart in there? I wouldn't. They're so super cute. Okay, so I added those to the front side just like that from the same polka dot pattern paper. Then I'm going to glue this shut. I love that this comes so that it's doubled up. Like you die cut it and it's doubled up, right? Then you only had to pass this through your die machine one time. One time. So that is fabulous. So I'm going to glue all of these shut and then I will add them to my recipe card. Look how cute they are. So cute. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to take some double-sided tape. This is in 1/4 of an inch width, and I'm going to put that at the base of each of these. This is where it's going to adhere to that recipe card, and I'm going to stick it to the back of the card itself. And you know me, or if you don't know me, I'll tell you that I am a stickler for good adhesion. So yes, I am putting liquid glue on top of double-sided adhesive tape. That does also give me a little bit of time to wiggle that around and get it straight and where I want it. And it's going to help it hold and, you know, stand the test of time. So there's all 6 of the pages. You're going to stack them up just like that. And I've lined them up as I went, so I knew they would be all in sync. Then I have some binder rings here. I just got these off of the Amazon, you know, where we all like to shop. And I am clipping that together. You can also find these probably like at Walmart, probably like at an office supply store, places like that. So those work great for projects like this. Easy, done. You could be done right here, but you know I'm not. No, I have to add all the fun parts. The first fun part is going to be a cover for this album. So I'm going to take that same die that cuts out the recipe card. I'm going to cut out this striped piece. That's going to become the cover of my album, but it's too thin. So I'm going to glue this onto a second die cut piece of white cardstock. This is going to make it nice and sturdy, and that is going to be a great thing for a cover of a book, right? So there we have that. It's going to need its own set of, I don't know what to call these. Little album builder things. Now, to decorate the cover, let's move on to something super cute. These are measuring cup shakers, measuring spoon shakers. And you see the tiny little openings? Yeah, you can make a shaker out of that. That's what we're going to do. So there's a solid layer. There is a layer with the openings. So we're going to need 2 of each. The open one that is the colored cardstock is what's going to show on the front. And I'm going to back that with one of the solid pieces, which I die cut from a window sheet. So we'll glue those 2 together. That's going to be the layer that shows. Then we need a layer that's going to give us lift. It's going to give us the space we need to add a shaker element. That's going to be foam, fun foam, like this. So I'll die cut that out. I did add a little bit of rip and stick sheet to the front of it before I die cut it out to make it into a sticker. And that's going to allow me to easily stick this behind that layer that has the window sheet on it. So you could put this on both sides if you want. It's very handy. I'll stick that down, and now I have what I like to refer to as a reservoir for my shaker bits. Now here again, I've stuck adhesive on there, but I'm putting the liquid glue. I really want that because look here, I need to scoot it around and make sure I get it lined up. With the liquid glue there, it gives me the opportunity to do that. So look at that. It's already looking so cute. So now in this reservoir, I'm going to put some shaker pop beads. These are from Trinity Stamps, and they have them in a rainbow of colors, which is perfect because I'm going to make 4 different measuring spoons from 4 different colors, and then I have different color shaker pop beads I can add. Now these are tiny beads and a tiny shaker, so I'm just going to fill them up. I don't really need them to do a lot of moving around, but just really add a cute element. Like there's something in that scoop, and I love it. It's so fun. Now you could avoid the top one and just put them in the bottom, depending on the look that you're going for. Here's the yellow. The yellow matches perfectly, and I happen to have a lot of fun foam in my craft room. Maybe you do too. So I was able to color match this. Now, if you don't have a lot of foam in your craft room, go with white. White seems to go with a lot of things, or go with black, depending on what you're doing. But also, fun foam tends to come in a variety pack, so you can easily get, you know, a variety of colors. Now, this one doesn't match perfectly, but it goes with it. You know, it coordinates. So I went with what I had and made a blue, tiny. This is probably like 1/4 of a teaspoon right here. If I had to give them some labels. Yeah, so there's that one, and I'm going to do one more, the tiniest one. It's so adorable. I'm going to do a purple. Look at, oh my word, it's darling. So there's my 4 spoons. I also die cut out some letters from a alphabet set I have in my stash to say recipes to go on the front. Now, before I glue everything down, I really wanted to give this a little extra something, and that is a dusting of color. I always find adding a little bit of ink to the edge of things really elevates them. So I just took out my red blending buddy brush and used the ink that was already in it. I didn't add any more because I didn't want it to be a deep dark red. This is kind of a pinkish red paper. I'm also going to use that to add a little bit of color on the edge of my measuring spoon itself. So I'll do that with all of the measuring spoons and even the die cut letters to really elevate the front of my album. And again, I don't really need to add a lot of color from an ink pad. A lot of times I have the ink in my brush because I keep a brush for each kind of color family. So I had a red brush, a yellow brush, a blue brush. So I will use the same brush with a lot of different dye-based inks that are blue, and I can clean it off with a paper towel in between. But I will say I don't mix and match my brushes that I use for dye ink with the brushes that I use for oxide. So I have a separate set for dye-based inks and oxide-based inks. So I definitely don't mix and match those. But I also have some tiny daubers here that I can use for smaller pieces, and that's what I did for the word recipe. All right, let's put some things together, starting with this tab on the side that turns this into an album page. You'll see I am putting adhesive on the front and the back this time. So let's just work with the front side. I'm going to line this up with what I already have down, making sure everything's straight and where I want it before I lay my page onto that adhesive. But again, I have the liquid glue there, so if I feel like I need to scoot it a little bit, I can do that, especially before I really press down on it. I'm going to add a second layer behind this again to make it more sturdy, but also I wanted to cover up that tab and I wanted to make something cute on the inside. So that's why I added the coordinating cardstock there on the inside. And I love how this cover is coming together already. So next, let's add our fun parts. So when I'm adding the word recipe, I wanted it to be closest to the right-hand side of the album. So I'm going to spell this backwards. So I'm not great at spelling forwards. I definitely love, spell check. So I am actually putting my letters down in reverse. So doing that, I made sure I laid it out how it's supposed to be spelled so I didn't have to think while I'm gluing because, I can't do those things at the same time. No. All right, now I'm just taking a white gel pen and adding a little highlight to the letters just to, I don't know, add a little something. I love a white gel pen, and this helps add a little highlight to them, add a little character. So I did that. I didn't end up adding them to the measuring spoons themselves because they're textured cardstock, and I don't always love the look of white gel pen on textured cardstock. All right, next I am bringing in this little chain and adding this to my measuring spoons for the cutest touch that you could ever have. I had these in my stash. I probably got them for a previous project, and I'm just going to lay these out on my little album and have them be a accent, and really it's more like the focal point of this recipe book. I think they're adorable. So to adhere those down, I'm going to take some double-sided adhesive tape and liquid glue and hot glue. I'm going to use all the things to make sure these do not come off. So once I have the adhesive tape on there, then I'm going to bring in the liquid glue. I remove the backing, of course, and then stick them down one at a time. And I kind of just put them on there kind of randomly, like you'd kind of toss them down. I thought that was cute. So you can adhere these however you like. You could also do some ribbon or twine in between these measuring spoons, and you wouldn't even have to do that part if you didn't want to. So adding those one at a time, and they are the cutest. I absolutely love this die set. I'm going to show you a couple other ways I use them throughout this mini album today where you don't have to make them a shaker. So if you're like, oh my goodness, I am never doing that, don't do it. Like, make these how you love them, right? And don't worry about the shaker part. Nobody said you had to make it into a shaker, right? So there we have our 4 measuring spoons all done on the cover of this mini album. Let's look at them again because they're so cute. All right, so I did take a little hot glue and put it right under the end where the chain is so that they don't get caught on something and get ripped off the book. And I just left the outer part of the chain free flowing. I thought it was cute that that would kind of move around, but I love having the element of the real chain on the cover. So you guys let me know what you think of this project. Usually on my channel, I'm making cards, but I just feel like this project is like one big card, or, maybe a collection of 6 cards or 7 if you count the cover. Yeah, so I love making things with my paper crafting supplies that aren't cards. I like making little treat boxes. I like making this book, and my thought behind this book right here is that this could be something you use when you are like looking on Instagram or Facebook, and there's those little videos that are like, did you know if you take cottage cheese and mix it with Parmesan cheese and bake it on the air fryer for 20 minutes, you get crackers, those type of recipes. I thought this would be really fun to have. When you save those, you have a place to come and write them down, and then maybe you'd actually make that recipe. Can you believe it? That's such a good idea. Okay, so I'm going to give this to my bestie. If she's watching, Patty, leave a comment below And the surprise has been spoiled, but I think that this is something she will love. And we're always sending each other recipes on social media that we are going to try. And we have actually tried some of them. So this is going to help us try it even more because the recipe will be captured in a place that's easy to find. All right, so I've got my pages, but as I was flipping through, I was like, I can't leave the backside without those hole reinforcers. So I added heart hole reinforcers to the backside, and then I wanted more measuring spoons. So I made some that are just the back layer is white, the front layer matches the page, and I glued one to each of those backside pages where, you know, you can have extra room to write in that little area of the background paper. So I thought this was just the cutest little touch. Once you start making these things, like you might not know what all you're going to add, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm adding. Okay, this stamp set I just showed you is from the latest release at ScrapDiva Designs. There's a whole sewing theme, which I'm totally in love with. I'm definitely going to be making some things for my mom, whose hobby is sewing with this. And there was a stamp in here that said handmade by, I thought I would add it to my mini album. I'm making a couple more of those cute measuring spoons to put on this, like a little label. I used the polka dot paper, and this yellow one was so light in color. I definitely felt that I needed a little bit of distress ink on the edge, so I used some mustard seed and added that. And did you notice that I'm using a new glass mat? This is from Glass Board Studio. I got to meet the owners, the people who run the company, when I was at Creativation in April, and oh my word, they are so nice. And they asked me if I would want to try out the glass board. So I've been using it, and you just saw me stick magnets to hold that measuring spoon down so I could write my name right on there, and it held fabulously there. You can check out the description box of this video for links and information about Glassboard Studio. Okay, I have tied my two little measuring spoons together, but when I laid them down on that white paper, I was not impressed. I was not loving it. So I pulled out the blue paper that I used in this project. It's textured, so I used some Broken China Distress Oxide ink. It's a little like juicier, and I stamped it repeatedly with my Misty because I can do that. And I was able to get a nice impression. And then I just die cut part of it like a slimline scallop die and use that for a little extra something something on here. And then I was happy with my label, and I'm going to stick that down. This is the inside of the cover. So I made it all rainbowed with my strips there. And then I'm adding on my label and my measuring spoons to complete it. Super duper cute. I think this little adding touch might be my favorite. I don't know. I love the shaker spoons too on the cover. Okay, so we've got that, and now I wanted some embellishment on the front, and these were sitting on my desk. These are also from Trinity. They're part of their latest like space release, but I just kept glancing over at them, and they had purple and pink and blue and yellow, just like my cover. So I added those to the front. There was two different shades of blue. I kind of mixed and matched those ones. Okay, now we're bringing in that Desert Rose die, and I'm going to die cut this from foam, from Fun Foam, this time as a decorative element. I'm going to layer these up. I've got my hot glue gun out, and it's hot. You want to know how I know? Because I touched my pinky to the tip of this thing and got a little teensy burn. That's not fun, you know, but crafting, it's a dangerous sport. So I am taking two of the largest flowers in pink, layering those up, taking two of the medium flowers in the orange and layering those up and finishing it off with two layers of the yellow and just making a nice little kind of charm that I want to hang off of my rings. Now, let's be honest here. I have not made a ton of charms in my life, and I know that I could like up my charm game. So if you have tips and suggestions for me on charms for my projects, let me know in the description or in the comments. That's where you leave those things, in the comments below, because I really feel like I could have attached this in a better way. And it might just be because I've got some silver hardware things going on, and I chose to stick mine down, adhere it down with some twine, which is really cute. It has like metallic thread in it, but it just wasn't the wow that I wanted. You know what I mean? So I put the twine, tied up in a knot through the hole with some hot glue, put another flower to kind of sandwich it there, and then I just tied it on to one of the rings, which yeah, I feel like it's lacking in something, but I love the flower there. It kind of reminds me of like a 70s kitchen vibe or something. And then I was able to add another of those cool baubles, the pink one right to the center of the flower, and it fit perfect. Love those. So I added that as my finishing touch, but it definitely could use some zhuzhing on the charm. So please help a girl out. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings, your suggestion, your links for charms. So next time I can step it up a notch. Yeah, that's totally what I need. So here's my entire recipe book. I definitely want to add some double-sided cards in here. So there's a recipe card on the front and the back, and give this a little bit more thickness. So I will probably get to that in time to gift this to the bestie. Thank you so much for watching. I love sharing my non-card projects with you. So if you like it too, you have to let me know. Just like leave a thumbs up, share the video maybe with somebody who likes these kinds of videos, and of course, chat with me in the comments below. And I will see you all again very soon with another paper crafting video. Could be a card, could be something else. Anyways, thank you so much for sticking around. I will see you all again soon. Happy stamping. Bye.